When did you apply to USC? 96, 97, something like that?
95.
95?
95, yeah, 95.
Yeah, because I read something, too, when I was looking up USC and trying to figure out some stuff, that they cut their tuition by, like, half the students. They were only accepting, like, half the kids that applied for the first time in, like, 97. So it must have been super hard to get into that and to get into the film program. And, like, so many people went to USC. So who influenced you while you were there at USC, or did you meet anybody in the film department, or do people come back? Like, because I know Will Ferrell went, like everybody went to USC for
Well, here's
film,
the interesting
right?
thing about that. I got rejected from the USC Film School as an undergraduate major. Originally, I wanted to be an undergraduate major. I applied. They didn't accept me, but I did get accepted into USC through general admission. So I decided to go ahead and take, general admission. And then while I was there, I decided, well, look, what's my next best passion? It was business. So I decided to do a business major and do a film minor. Because I wasn't a film major from freshman year, I had more time. And that extra time I devoted not only to a work study job, but also my internship.
Got it.
And that internship was every job, every opportunity I've ever had goes right back to that internship. So it was a blessing.
Overbrook, right?
Overbrook and Handprint and all the things. My relationship with Will, my relationship with Benny. Everything goes back to that internship. And if I was a film major, I would have never had the time to devote to an internship, and I probably wouldn't even be here today. So
it was an internship for a bigger company that you worked for all ththese other companies, or it was multiple internships throughout your...
It was just that one internship. I interned freshman and sophomore year for Benny, and he was, and that was at a company called Handprint. And then my junior year, Will Smith and his producing partner, James Lassiter, started Overbrook Entertainment. I was their first intern. I interned for my senior year, and then I graduated. And I was an assistant for James Lassiter for 2 years. And then I left there, became a development executive for Tracy Edmonds for about a year and a half. And then I became a studio executive for MGM. I've worked on Be Cool and Beauty Shop. And then a year and a half later, they got sold to Sony Pictures Entertainment. And I became an executive there and was there for 10 years. So, that one internship, I just kept parlaying it into these opportunities.
And when you had the job at MGM, and then there was they said it was out of nowhere, basically, that they were bought up by Sony Columbia.
Yeah.
How it was the transition easy? Did you feel like, shit, I ain't going to have a job? Or how did it feel for when people were buying up a company?
Yeah, man, listen, everybody was getting, paid out of their contract. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no plan. I wouldn't say I was super worried. I was like, well, I don't know. I will see. And then, I don't know. It's just, it's just the way that God works. I was sitting in my office and one of my bosses says, hey, come down to my office. I'm like, okay. I go down to her office and she shuts the door and she says, listen, I just got off with Amy Pascal, who at the time, she was the chairman of Sony Pictures Entertainment. And she said, don't worry about a job. You and I have jobs when this deal closes.
That's cool.
Never met Amy, never had to apply, nothing. It was just me being me. And however, Amy was like, oh, no, we need him here. So let him know, don't look, we got you. And so that made the transition smooth. So I got paid out of my contract, which was nice. And then a few months later, was able to start as an executive working at Columbia Pictures, was the main division for Sony Pictures Entertainment.
Got it.
And the irony is that Sony was the main funder of Will's company at the time.
Yeah.
So, I went from being a former intern and assistant that worked for him to then being in one of the studio executives working on everything from Pursuit of Happiness, 7 Pounds, Hancock, Karate Kid, After Earth. And so it was just amazing that it all worked out that way.
Right.
What was the funnest one to work on, I guess, with him?
Karate Kid was amazing.
Karate Kid?
Because it was the first movie that was made, American movie made in Beijing in at that time in 20 years. So going to Beijing, I was there. I made about 9 trips over the course of a calendar month. And just the culture, the people, the experience, it was amazing. How
is Jackie Chan perceived over there? Is it crazier than anything you've seen here?
You don't even know what fame is.
Yeah.
You don't know.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Until you see Jackie Chan in China, you don't know what fame is. And his they would call him Da Ge, which is kind of basically like a god, you know what I mean? And wherever he would go, it was just tons and tons of people, and he has to travel with caravans and secure. I mean, it's just not because there's a threat. It's just to move through all the people.
He like the Pope.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. So that was amazing. I mean, it's kind of like what you see with like Taylor Swift. Like he's that level of fame in China.
And Will Smith was there to film and all that, or just
he was there. He was there. Will was a devoted producer. Jaden was starring in the film, so Will and Jada were there producing the film. They were there every day. Very active, very hands-on, and and I think the movie is as good as it is because they were so involved.
How was The Pursuit to Happiness?
Oh, that was amazing. That was amazing too. Like that was the first movie I worked on as an executive.
Touching movie, man.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that movie is it took place like down the street from where I worked as a high school student. So, and we shot some scenes right there on Broadway, and my first high school job was on 14th and Broadway. And so it was just a great experience to have a Bay Area story be the first movie that I was able to work on as an executive for Columbia Pictures. And then once we saw the first cut of the film, I put together a faith-based marketing campaign on how to take the inspirational message in Pursuit of Happiness to, the faith-based audience. And, took Will Smith on the road and, really helped him build relationships within the faith-based space and with pastors like T.D. Jakes. And the movie was massively successful. I mean, ironically, that film domestically, the year it came out, almost made the same amount of money as the James Bond film that came out.
Oh, wow.
Casino Royale grossed like $166 million and Pursuit of Happiness did $160. That's unheard of for a period inspirational drama, but it just shows, to the degree that movie struck a chord.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel... Well, never mind. I'll ask that question later, to be honest. But it said when you were doing that one, they said that's what kind of like inspired you to do films that touch people and build emotions and stuff like that. That was like the turning point for you where it's like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want my focus to be. And then did that take you into more like faith-based films, I guess, or trying to come there? Cause
No, it didn't. It didn't. I mean, going back to preaching, so, I preached my first sermon at 15. But I never wanted that to be, my profession. But I still would do it. So then when I graduated college, my uncle, who was the pastor, asked me to start coming up once a month to preach. So while I was pursuing my career in entertainment, I still was going up to Oakland once a month to preach. And so I did that for 10 years. So while I'm climbing the ladder in Hollywood, I'm still doing that. So when it came to Pursuit of Happiness, it was the first movie where it was like, oh, these two worlds work together. Because over here, when I'm preaching is really, a lot of it is sermon. I mean, stories, you're storytelling. Jesus was a great storyteller. So I'm impacting people's lives with stories. Well, a movie is just a visual story. So it was the first opportunity where I was like, oh, I actually can put these two things together. And I never, even from that moment, I never thought about faith-based per se. I just said, oh, I just want to find films that speak to me that I can help improve someone's life with. And inspire them. And so that Pursuit of Happiness was the catalyst to look for more content that could be done in that way.
And you opened your own company, Franklin Entertainment, right? And then one of your first films was Heaven is for Real, $12 million budget, gross over $100 million.
Wow. Well, that was the last film I did as an executive. So I bought that book and oversaw that book and developed that book. Joe Roth and T.D. Jakes were the producers, and we made it for $14 million, and they didn't believe it.
You made $100 million?
It made $100 million. Made $100 million worldwide. Yeah.
So everybody had to give you a deal after that. Everybody should have been beating down your door. 14 to 100.
Oh yeah, no, it was unprecedented. Like even to this day, it's still one of the highest grossing faith-based movies ever.
Who are you associated with now as far as corporations? Did they give you an opportunity, like a 5-picture deal, 3-picture deal?
Yeah, I currently have a multiple picture deal with Tyler Perry and Netflix for faith-based movies.
That's dope.
And then I also have a multi-year deal with CBS Studios for TV production and development.
So does that mean like any project that you have, you get to come to them and they got the first right of refusal?
Yes.
Or that's how it works?
Basically, well, yes. It's so like if like on the CBS front, like if I bring them a project that they want to do, great. We do it. We go figure it out. On the film side, it's like Tyler and I will talk about, okay, Tyler, hey, here's a movie I want to do. If we both agree on it, great. We go do it. If for some reason we don't see it, then I'm like, cool, I'll go take it somewhere else. So it really is a first look that gives me the flexibility to find the right home for the right projects.
That's dope.